All right, hi everyone. I'm just here to kind of chill out. I'm fucking bored. Who the hell am I kidding? I'm just really bored. Hopefully I'm coming in okay. Hi everyone. I'm just here to kind of chill. Hopefully I'm coming in okay. Hopefully I'm sounding all right, and hopefully my gameplay volume isn't that loud. Please let me know if it is. But I'm going to start the campaign right now. So this is going to be interesting because I had this on the PlayStation 3, but my PlayStation 3 kind of sucks, and I'm too lazy to upgrade it, and I don't want to do all that stuff because I just use it as a Blu-ray player now, basically. So I'm playing it on a PC, and I have my Xbox controller. Haven't done this forever, so this should be fun. Played a little bit with the keyboard, hated it with the keyboard, so that's why I bought a new controller, Xbox controller. So this should be fun. I'm gonna start over with Vendetta. I suck, so I'm not even gonna attempt to do anything else. So I'm not a big fan of this game. In fact, I will say that I don't like this game that much. I just love zombies. This type of animation I always thought worked for Modern Warfare, and even what is it? Black Ops, but not for World War II. I don't think this fits that much for World War II. All right, I don't care. All right, hopefully everything's okay. Hello. Okay, cool. My Xbox controller is working. Awesome. So I did that right anyways. So this is actually very true. I'll give it that. Stalingrad very much so was like what they were depicting in this scene. Stalingrad was a... I'm doing well. Stalingrad was a fucking bloodbath, to put it politely. I mean, they were losing like thousands of soldiers a day. And to put it into perspective, something like 285,000 Germans went into fighting this battle. Oops. 1 second. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to turn down the volume of my ear. There. But yeah, something like 250 or 280 something thousand people, Germans, went into this battle, and only 10,000 came back. I just want to say that right now. 10,000 came back. That's insane. Ooh. Oh, there you are.
I need your help. Do what I say, and we can avenge this massacre.
See, I don't think people really understand just how different of a war the Eastern Front was to the Western Front in World War II.
My ancient hand looks like any longer aim. But you will do it for me. Take my rifle and watch the road. Mudak in the car is General Heinrich Hansel, architect of Stalingrad's misery. He is responsible for
Okay,
the
that's how I am.
cold-blooded murder of men
That's how I do that. Okay, cool.
and children.
But, like, the Eastern Front was, like, a literal fight for survival. Wait a second. What is that? That is a king tiger. The fuck? Okay, so...
the wrong moment and your chance will be forever lost. Patience. If we reveal our position to Hamsel's men, this fog will be our grave. Now, load your rifle.
Okay, sorry, I'm just...
Hold your fire. Wait until the bombers are directly overhead. The sound of the
That's a King Tiger. They didn't have King Tigers in Stalingrad. King Tigers weren't invented until the later part of 1944. Are there more? Yep, there are. There we go.
Your aim is good.
Alright. Because it was a fight for survival. Nazism could not survive with Bolshevism being a thing. Just could not survive. And communism could not survive with Nazism being a thing. So it was a literal fight for survival. It was quite clear. Oh! Now you see, that's an appropriate tank.
We must find another route to Amsa.
That there is an appropriate tank. That's a Panzer. That's a Panzer.
And follow me. This
But a King Tiger, no. King Tigers, one, were a piece of fucking junk. But they were introduced in the Battle of the Bulge, which was the last great offensive during World War II. In 1944, December 1944. This, Stalingrad ended in 1943. Officially, it ended, I guess, in 1944, but whatever, because there's still pockets fighting throughout the city. There's a great book by Anthony Beevor, who's one of my favorite authors on the subject of this. He wrote a book on just Stalingrad, and the amount of detail that he put into that really puts into perspective how horrifying of a battle that was. Literally no movie, I think, ever made, except for a film called Stalingrad, made in 1993, it's a German film, captured the horror of Stalingrad, of how freaking terrible it was. Because, like, people were literally fighting. The missions were not to take... I gotta pause this. Missions were not really to take... street by street or block by block. It was literally floor by floor. The battle itself, literally floor by floor. The mission was to take the upper floor or the basement. Though that was missions. And what's stupid about Stalingrad was that it wasn't. Strategically, it made almost no sense. The Germans should have just bypassed it. But because it had the name Stalin in it, Hitler said that Stalingrad must be taken. And in the process, slaughtered men that he could not replace. The Russians can always replace their soldiers. They always could. They could always replace. For every man lost, they could have like 20 people replace them. That's how the Russians work. They weren't quite as just throw men into the slaughter kind of deal as a lot of movies like to portray and a lot of, history teachers and history books like to portray. There was more tacticians going on there, especially Zhukov. Zhukov was a genius, Marshal Zhukov. But for every man they lost, they could replace them with 4 or 5 guys. The same with their tanks. Every tank they lost, the Germans, the Russians lost, they could replace it with 4 or 5. The Germans could not do that. Every man they lost, they'd be lucky if they could get... Actually, 90% of the time, they couldn't get a replacement. The Battle of Kursk, which happened in my opinion, the moment that the Germans lost the war completely, 100%. They were going to lose the war no matter what, but lost the war completely was during the Battle of Kursk. And that was because during the Battle of Kursk, they did not have the reserves to go on the offensive the way how Hitler had hoped. And a lot of his staff knew about this. But because he was Hitler, they couldn't disobey his orders. So they went in. And while the Russians could replace all of their losses, the Germans simply could not. Yeah. So it's... The moment... I've heard it sort of worded like this. So the Germans lost the war the moment they stepped foot into Russia in 1941. The moment they stepped foot into Russia, they lost the war. However, they could still lose the war and get some favorable terms. let's see. They could not get a positive outcome when they lost the Battle of Stalingrad. They would have lost something at the Battle of Stalingrad, probably something similar to the end of World War I. However, when they lost the Battle of Kursk, they were going to lose the war completely. This was going to be unconditional surrender, utter destruction. Yeah, so, I mean, the Western Front was... the Eastern Front during World War II, between the Nazis and the Soviets, was a war like none other ever fought on this planet. Nor the scale of any other war fought on a planet. Ooh, let me get back to this.
General Amsel is a creature of habit. He inspects each German garrison every day.
Mosin-Nagant's a great rifle. This is a Mosin-Nagant rifle that he has. That's a Pepe Shaw 41 that Reznov has.
Sniper! Get inside now!
But Mosin-Nagants were great rifles.
Oh, it's almost gone.
Mainly because they were cheap and easy to produce.
Follow me!
And this was quite popular during Stalingrad too. Sniper battles was quite common.
Now the game is cat and mouse. I will draw his fire. Keep your eyes open for the flag. Ready? Now! He's on the top floor! Left side! I'm going to draw his fire again. Get ready to take him out.
Oh, there he is.
Did you see him?
I did.
Exactly where we are. I cannot risk it again. It's up to you. Good hunting. The patrols will surely have heard those shots. We need to get moving.
Where'd you go? Over there. Shit, I have hardly any ammo. I love that, though. Something that I do like about this game, more than any other of the Call of Duty games. Shit. Shit. The Germans did do this. The Germans like to use flamethrowers a lot, especially in Warsaw during the uprising. They fucking burned the city to the ground, basically. You know what's crazy? The Warsaw uprising only happened because they thought the Soviets would save them, and a lot of the Warsaw uprising were Jews that were hiding and everything like that. Well, the Soviets decided, you know what, I'm not going to help them because the Soviets hated the Jews just as much as the Germans, so they didn't want to admit it. Ah! Shit! I can't remember if this is part of the game or not. I think it's part of the game.
Here, my friend. Take my hand. I need you alive.
How come it didn't hurt him?
We need to find a way out. Armored car outside.
See, I like Reznov and Black Ops. Black Ops is awesome. Well, we went on a little adventure. See, that guy must be an officer because he has an MP40. Only a lot of games and movies show that the Germans use MP40s a lot. In reality, only certain officers had MP40s. So most of them had Kar 98Ks, their main bolt-action rifle, which were great rifles, by the way. Germans always made good guns. They made pretty good guns. The problem with Germans is that they love to over-engineer everything, which made them very difficult to fix. Like, their tanks were very overly produced. So like if they broke down, which they tended to break down frequently, they were very hard to fix during, you know, to fix on the spot. Well, T-34s, you know, were fantastic.
You see the flamethrowers? You must choose your moment. Exploding the fuel tank will incinerate anyone standing nearby.
Alright, where's the flamethrower? There it is. Oh no, it's not. Shit.
Excellent aim, Louis. Give covering fire to our comrades below. Another flamethrower. Blow it to pieces. Empty in the second floor window.
Woo! Yeah, this is much funner. Though, you know what's funny? A lot of the sound effects that I'm getting in this were used in Call of Duty 3. Call of Duty 3 was, it's, in my opinion, it's my favorite of the World War II Call of Duty games. That was really good, and a lot of that was just because it was so fucking focused. Call of Duty 3 took place during the breakout at Normandy, and though it was certainly heightened, I liked the attention to detail in that game. A lot of it because it was just such a focused campaign. Both figuratively and literally, a very focused campaign.
Our friends are moving up. We must do the same. Up the stairs, quickly.
This is fun. I used to play these games all the time. All the fucking time. But this is actually super realistic in terms of portraying the battle. See how they're fighting in the streets and they're floor by floor. The Battle of Berlin kind of became like that in 1945, though on a much smaller scale. Because at least by that point, the Germans were so fucking starved. They didn't really have a chance in hell to really fight back.
Hit them below, infantry. Cut them down.
Hey! I don't want that. Fuck. Didn't mean to do that. Fuck. Them German shepherds, man.
More infantry. Cut them down.
Don't want to shoot the dog. Where are you? Fucking A. Suck. I'm sorry. The two of you that are watching.
Take cover. More infantry. Cut them down. Be ready.
That was an officer because he had the hat. At least I think he was anyway.
Here they come.
There we go. About time. don't know if the Germans actually use the dogs as much as they do in this game or not. I cannot remember. I don't think they did.
Keep firing! Our friends below need cover!
Oh, fuck yeah, I'm picking up a goddamn MP40. You know what's crazy? The Russians frequently actually... Sorry, the Germans frequently actually picked up Russian guns because the Russian guns wouldn't freeze during the winter. And there was just more ammo available. MG42s are so good.
Our comrades are clearing the building! Watch your fire!
Oh, those are our own guys.
They have taken the communication post!
Good.
Ansel will try to run! Quickly, we must cut off his escape route! Dead ahead! Yes! Show no fear, comrades!
I mean, Stalingrad was just a fucking mess anyway, so everyone basically grabbed whatever gun that they could. Oh. Well, that would help if I wouldn't run, you know, towards the grenade. I'm just saying.
Lost! We are nearby!
See, like, they wouldn't have this many MP4s, MP40s in real life.
Follow me! I know
Most of these guys would have had Kar 98s.
overlooking the command post.
Is that nitpicky? Probably.
Hold fire! We are too close to our goal. To reveal our position, there is nothing we can do for our comrades. Their sacrifice will not go unavenged. The death of General Amsen will be just the beginning. Look ahead! The building adorned with flags is the German command post. General Amsen will soon be
See, again, that's a King Tiger. They wouldn't have King Tigers in this. At all. King Tigers weren't even a thing yet. Those tanks weren't even a thing yet.
There he is! See him! Snuggle low. Put a bullet in his bodyguard's head.
Alright.
The Mudak is hiding behind the destroyed tank.
I know he is.
He's running! He's using the burning truck for cover. We must first kill his sniper to get a clear shot. He's on the move! The Mudak is cowering behind the artillery piece. Axel is running! The Mudak is getting into that car! Shoot the driver! Stop him!
I can't. Fucking A. I can't see
Axel
anything.
is running! Do not let him escape! Kill him!
There we go.
You are a true master.
Not really. I just suck at this game.
He will be coming for us. We must go quickly before the attacks fire again.
Oh. Well, I mean, a traitor to the motherland could have meant really anything,
We must go.
including looking at Stalin the wrong way. Yeah, you see, most of the Germans, I think this is just lazy gameplay. I really don't understand why this game was as successful as it was. Okay, that was fun. Woot woot woot.
The Red Army's advance into Germany is swift and brutal. In mere months, we have reached Silo Heights, the last line of defense before the German capital. We are
I don't care. Whoop. Sorry, I just had to fix something over here. And resume game. Okay. Now you see, if this is the one that I remember it to be, this annoys me because the very first fucking level in this game does the same thing but with the Japanese. I fucking... God, this campaign is so lazy. So lazy. Terrible writing.
Nur billigen Plunder, der sich wohl an ihre Heimat erinnern sollte. Nein!
My friend Marvin actually has one of those Mosin Nagant rifles. I want one really bad too.
Was ist das?
Literally the same fucking scene. Like this happened. Ugh.
Dmitri!
This happened in the first fucking level.
Once again, you cheat death. Our tanks are ready to smash this line.
I don't care. I don't care. Okay. There we go.
And turn up! I am not hearing gunshots.
There is no point, Sergeant. We are already bleeding to death.
Then maybe our friend will have them bleed faster.
T-34s. Gotta love them. Yeah.
I know to trust your instincts. Left or right, you lead the way.
I'm not picking up a live grenade. Good sound design in this game, though. That really was kind of the mentality of the Russians, though. Like, during Stalingrad, the fucking slogan of the Russians was, "Do not count days, do not count miles, only count the number of Germans you have killed." Oh, that's what that does.
Drum and keep right below. Use your Molotov. Burn in their throats.
Yeah, this is bringing me back. Guher 43s also weren't as popular as they portray in this game either. They were the German answer to the M1 Grand. Shit. Panzer Schreck.
Up there! On the balcony! I am the Shrek! In fact, stones are advancing! Protect our armor!
See, that's a King Tiger.
Again! Fire the Panzer Shrek! Use the rockets! Again!
King Tigers weren't a thing.
Hero of Stalingrad!
It's true that they were terrifying, though. I won't deny that. Fuck.
Rockets! Fire! Keep going until the last one burns! Again! Fire the Panzer Shrek! Dimitri, turn their weapons against them! Boil them in their steel coffin!
Another tank? Pretty sure there's another tank somewhere. them all. See, at least they actually have swastikas in this too, and not that stupid Iron Cross bullshit. Fuck. That was
Follow me! We will regroup at the bar!
I'm also not a fan of the soundtrack in this game. Uh-oh. I got a message. Sorry. I gotta check this out. You see, I don't like that because I just don't think electronic music fits with fits with World War II. Where am I going? Where am I going? Where am I going? I forgot where I'm going. Where am I going? Ah! Up here? Oh my god! Should I trade my Panzerschreck yet? I'm afraid to... I gotta go over there. Oh. Hi. Don't you love it when doorways are right where they're supposed to be? I know I do. Oh.
Dimitri, I see time has not weakened your aim. You can learn much from this man, Cherno. Break open the door. The cowards may hide in shadows, but we will find them.
Wow! Oh my god!
Take it down. Fire the Panzerschreck.
Sweet mother. Why did they have to be King Tigers? They would have most likely have been Panzers. The Panzer IV, I guess.
Sergeant Rezov, you seem to relish in the slaughter. I've seen my friends die in front
Tigers
of
aren't even that big either yet.
They deserve everything they get, and more. Dimitri, ride on one of the tanks.
Sure.
You have none. You walk.
Oh, I guess I'm supposed to get on that tank. Tiger Tamer. No! Okay. That was telling me to press F to pay respect. T-34s were the best tank during the war. Fight me. Change my mind. You know, just taking a stroll in East Germany. And, yep. Looks like all hell's gonna break loose. Ow.
When we clear this compound, we can revel in great victory. Bring down those towers! Use the Panzerschreck!
I don't want to use my Panzerschreck.
Light some rockets! Blow up those towers!
You just cut him in half. In real life, this gun would have been way too heavy to fucking carry. Hello. Ha ha! I don't want to do that.
German clock approaching! Dimitri, fall into pieces before they take position!
Oh, they flew, didn't they? This is really good graphics for a game from 2008. In fact, I would even argue it has better graphics than most of the games made now. Fuck. Ow! Ooh, that hurt. I'll pick up a Guher. Let's fire one of these things. These guns were alright. They just had a bad tendency to jam a lot. Whoop! Sorry, my fellow riflemen. Honestly surprised me that the Germans the Germans didn't invent like automatic rifles and everything like that, like the STG-44 sooner. See, I read this very interesting. It's called Timeline 191, and it was essentially what if the Confederates had won the American Civil War? So the Confederates, it's basically World War II, but against the Union and the Confederates, which is essentially, it was really good. Timeline 191 by Harry Turtledove. 11 books. It was a great read. A lot of fun. But something that I really liked about that was that in that game, the Confederates, right from the get-go, designed automatic rifles because they lacked the manpower that the North had. So they wanted to give their men more firepower. That's honestly something I'm surprised the Germans didn't do sooner. And Hitler apparently hated the STG-44, which of course was the precursor to the AK-47. And I gotta tell you, the STG-44, if the Germans had that earlier, like 43 onwards, holy shit, man. That would have caused a lot of problems. The Pacific War was our war. I don't care what anyone says. That was America's war. Not Germany. I also am not exactly a fan of the fact that, you know, politics played a part with it. Our allied strategy was to take out Germany first, then Japan. I don't know. Flamethrower is Japan's worst enemy. M1 Grand's won us the war. Fight me. Actually, no, I wasn't the only reason. Who the fuck am I kidding? The ping. You ever heard of M1 Grand thumb? It's when your thumb got stuck in got jammed in the fucking thing when reloading it. Apparently, it was quite common. M1 Grand thumb, they called it. Fuck it, I want a Thompson. Thompsons were actually so expensive to make. That's why we wound up introducing the grease gun later on in the war, particularly with tank crews. See, they wouldn't really use flamethrowers in the way that they're doing that in this. Oh! Poop. I didn't even see that. Flamethrowers are mainly for caves, especially on, like, Okinawa. Oh, man. You know, a lot of people like to make fun of Japanese tanks. They were actually pretty solid. Early on in the war, they were actually really good for, especially jungle fighting. You didn't want a big tank. You wanted something much smaller. I'd say even Shermans were almost too big for a lot of the jungle fighting that was going to naturally happen in the Pacific War. Japan lost the war immediately, though. Like, Yamamoto was right. Yamamoto was absolutely right. Japan had to win the war. Oh, whoops. Yeah. Friendly fire. Friendly fire. Japan had to win the war within 6 months. And the only way that they could win the war was by basically a negotiated peace. They could not win a war against America. They had to basically shock and awe us, which was what they should have done. And we're trying to do. Ironically, Midway was the 6-month mark, by the way. But yeah, I'm not sure. The moment it became a war of attrition, same with the Germans, the moment it became a war of attrition, the Japanese lost. So basically almost immediately. I mean, it's insane to me. The Japanese did what they did because they were already overstretched in China. They wouldn't really use. Whoop. Sorry, I was listening to Joe Rogan before that. I'm pissed at him for moving to Spotify, though. Though I have a feeling I actually know why. And if he's doing it genuinely for the reasons... Ah! Fuck. Damn it. Though if Joe Rogan's actually moving to Spotify for the reasons he's saying he's moving to Spotify, I'd be okay with that. I'm actually more than okay with that. God damn. Fuck the Japanese. They were brave fighters. Stupid, but brave. Admittedly, I don't know as much about the Pacific War as I would like to. What the fuck are they? Where the fuck are they, man? I know a lot about the early days of the war and, like, the very last days of the war. That's about it. Everyone gives their guns a bad rep too. Japanese had some good guns. I always thought the Arisaka rifle was pretty good, especially when they upgraded them. Fuck. Oh shit, did I really trade the flamethrower? I did. What the fuck's wrong with me? See, this is how they would use the flamethrowers. Because the Japanese loved using caves and dugouts almost, very similar to what the North Vietnamese did during the Vietnam War. So it made perfect sense, in my humble opinion, to fucking use the shit out of the flamethrowers. Of course, that sort of bit us in the ass in Okinawa because so many civilians would hide in these caves. Imagine how fucking nerve-wracking that must have been. Oh my god, I couldn't even imagine. If any of you who are watching haven't seen it, Japan made a great movie about the Battle of Okinawa. Literally called the Battle of Okinawa. Great film. Directed by Kaihachi Okamoto. Biggest inspiration for Hideaki Anno. I think you definitely tell in that movie. I just actually got done watching The Human Condition, which is a great trilogy directed by the great Masaki Kobayashi.
Good work, Marines.
But that was really good. That's actually about a theater of the war that I know almost very little about, and that's when the Soviets cowardly got into the fucking war at the very end of it in 1945, and it's about their invasion of Manchuria, or what was Manchuria, I should say. So that was actually very interesting.
They're making their last stand in the jungles and caves that surround the
See, I want to make a movie about the Battle of Guadalcanal from the Japanese point of view because it's so terrifying. The Japanese point of view of that.
The 200mm on the point still has White Beach targeted. We all saw firsthand what that means when we hit shore. Any attempt to bring in reinforcements just leads to the same outcome.
Fucking bloodbath.
Yeah, well, Major Gordon suspended any further landings until the guns are knocked out. Now listen. Jojo's got
I see a problem that I have with this game. The biggest problem that I have with the game is the writing. There's no character to it. There's certainly world building. I love the attention to detail to the uniforms, the guns, and everything like that, but I need more. I want characters. That's why I think Call of Duty 3 and even Call of Duty 2, Big Red one, were really good. Oh, look, another fucking ambush.
Get behind that fallen tree!
Oh, oh.
Move along the riverbed. Flank 'em.
I'm also not gonna lie, I think the Japanese uniforms were terrible during the war. That being said, they were perfect for jungle fighting. Oh, whoops. The uniforms are perfect for jungle fighting. But like their dress uniforms, the only one of the dress uniforms that I actually really liked was the Imperial Japanese Navy. I thought the Imperial Japanese Navy had very good uniforms. Both the black ones and the white ones.
Move along the riverbed. Flank 'em.
Damn it. Told you I sucked.
We need to move up and knock him out.
I just noticed that the animation for that is wrong. It shows you pulling the pin on a smoke grenade. Oh, wow.
Move along the riverbed. Flank
He
'em.
defies gravity.
Japanese infantry. Bullseye.
Damn it. I'm moving in too fast. Now, I will also be completely honest. I don't know what the story is with using these kind of shotguns during the war. I'd imagine they would be more prominent, definitely in the Pacific Theater. That being said, I still don't know how prominently they were actually used.
Move along the riverbed. Flank 'em. Japanese infantry. Velocity. Maintain coverage fire. Reloading.
What a bloodbath.
They're getting close.
Really just about every every battle. I think in the Pacific War was a bloodbath. Ah! And I will also give the Japanese this. The Japanese were very good at fighting in jungles if they weren't idiots and decided to fight to the death the way that they did.
Get on that triple 25. Watch that bunker on the left. Make sure it's clear.
Oh, this is fun. Damn it! I hit the wrong one. Hit the wrong button. Shit.
Miller, get on that triple 25. Watch that bunker on the left. Make sure it's clear.
Told you I suck at this game.
Miller, get on that triple 25. Watch that bunker on the left. Make sure it's clear.
I'm also pretty sure that you wouldn't be able to carry a 30 caliber machine gun and shoot it because come on, fucking A. I tell you, if you got hit by one of these, one of those, you just would have been turned to like powder.
There's another one up ahead. Clear it out so our tanks can move up.
Oh, that's not high. Are you kidding me? Mother of God, man. Mother of God. See, I still want them to do a, I strongly disagree with the fact that you think that the music in this game is fantastic. I think it's not fitting at all. I don't like the fact that they use electronic music in it. I would have used more of an orchestra, something more... something more orchestral, personally. Something actually more like Medal of Honor Rising Sun. I thought the soundtrack for that was very, very good.
So far, so good, Marines. Move along the gully. Watch the trees! Keep it tight. Head down! Tanks should be able to provide us with cover as we close in around the hill. We have not to clear the cave. Stay in cover until they finish their run.
God damn it.
Head down! Tanks should be able to provide us with cover as we close in around the hill. We have not to clear the cave. Stay in cover until they finish their run. Japanese infantry! Move with it! Go now! Now! Take the tank! Use it for cover! Watch the fire! Stay behind the tank!
Oh yeah, I forgot that they liked mounting flamethrowers on Shermans during the... Oh yeah, they did a number. Yeah, that's what I heard, that if you play on veteran, it just like spams you ridiculously with grenades.
Velocity! Take the one on the left! I hear you! This is it! Clear out those caves!
See, I really want to learn more about the like the middle years of the Pacific War, the Battle of Peleliu, and even the Philippines. I want to learn a lot more about, because I know a lot about like the final days of the war, early in the war, up until like 1942, but not much in the middle, unfortunately. You know what I can't stand either? Is it makes me upset that they don't teach about the Pacific War in schools. Like, hardly at all. It's all the Germans and stuff. And I'm like, really? You think they'd focus a lot more on the Pacific War, since that was really our war. Japanese were what got us into World War II, for good and for bad. Oh, I blew his head off. Nice. Of course, the Japanese, I mean, I'm not exaggerating when I say that the Japanese, like, were doomed from the start because they were already overstretched in China. That was a fucking clusterfuck over there. And the Japanese command structure was insane. A complete clusterfuck. Clusterfuck puts it politely. Like, the fact that, like, the Navy and the Army just could not get along at all. They were their own politics all together, and, like, their own... There's no... They never worked together, essentially. Like, the Army would say, we need you guys to do this. If the commander didn't like that commander in the... If the captain of a ship in the Japanese Navy didn't like the captain in the Army who needed help, fucking A, they just didn't... Insane. Utter stupidity. The Germans weren't much better. Especially when it came to the SS versus the Wehrmacht, which apparently happened frequently. I love the sound of the BAR in this game. What is the definition of war? And also that World War II in color on Netflix. I love World War II in color. World War II in color I really liked. I also really enjoyed... Vietnam in HD was my favorite one of those, though. Vietnam in HD was just phenomenal.
The artillery on the point has been knocked out. Yes, sir.
We have lost many brave men. But they sacrificed.
Like, I know a lot about Japanese politics during the time. And, I mean, if you thought, like, what was going on in Germany was crazy with their politics and their stupidity, Japan put that through the fucking roof. It was insane, the amount of stupidity and waste the Japanese did. And they could afford it even less than the Germans. What is war is a... I'd need to talk about that for, like, hours. Anthony Beefer also wrote a great book on... Oh, good God. Oh, shit. Can't tell what I'm doing. I cannot tell what I'm doing. Come on. I don't know if they ever used any King Tigers over on the Eastern Front or not. I think they used them all up in the Battle of the Bulge. See, those are, you know, that's a fucking King Tiger. They didn't use King Tigers. I'm aware. You were more likely to come across a tiger, a regular tiger. I'm aware. .88mm guns are probably the best artillery during the war. I'll give them that, just because of how versatile they could be. See, I just can't get over the fact that they made such a big fucking blunder of putting King Tiger tanks in this fucking game. That's ridiculous. Sorry, internet had a hiccup. My apologies. I think I'm back. Gotta hit its ass. You learned that from Oddball. Ah! See, actually, I'm not sure if that's a king tiger or a panther. I think it's a king tiger. No, those are panthers. I think those are panthers. Okay, that was awesome.
Infantry transport! To the right!
The Panthers were their German answer to the T-34.
Another tank! Behind us! You scum! Infantry transport! Behind us! Bring down those
Oh yeah.
tanks!
You know what? D-Day only happened because Stalin was requesting a second front to open up to take pressure off of him. If not, we probably would have just kept going through Italy, which Italy was a bloodbath. The Italians don't actually get enough credit. The Italians put up one hell of a fight in Italy. I'm surprised there aren't any movies made about the Italian front. Now, I'm not talking about Sicily. I'm talking about actual Italy.
German armor! Turn right! German armor! Straight ahead!
Oh boy.
Enemy tanks! Straight ahead! German armor! Behind us!
Reznov, shut the fuck up. I know.
Take down the tower! Turn right! Fire now! Bring down the towers! Straight ahead! Blow to pieces!
There's an interesting World War II series called Liberation. Well, it's a series of movies. It was made in the 70s. It's a Soviet film. I have never seen a World War II movie that big before. And what's great about that, I mean, it's certainly propaganda, Soviet propaganda, don't get me wrong, but I gotta tell you, the Battle of Kursk and Berlin, like, holy shit. I mean, we're talking hundreds of tanks.
In Berlin, the Germans!
And thousands of troops, too. Some great like, long shots, too. I'm getting a flat ass.
was still very much alive. Dmitri Petrenko. I saw this man cheat death time after time at the siege of Stalingrad. As long as he lives, the heart of this army cannot be broken. He makes us all proud.
Oh, they came across many on the route to Berlin. Many of the Soviets came across concentration camps there in Berlin. On their way to Berlin, yeah. Yeah, you know what's even crazier? A lot of the Soviets took what they learned from the Germans at those concentration camps and turned that into their own shit. I don't care what people say, what the Nazis did during World War II. I mean, as horrible as it was fucking horrible what they were doing. But the Soviets made that look simple. Same with what the Japanese were doing to the Chinese, too. People need to talk about that more. Japanese hated the Chinese almost as much as the Germans hated the, Okay, this is an exaggeration, by the way. The Russians really did hate the Germans that much, and the Germans feared the Russians that much.
Use them for cover. Keep going. The rats are everywhere. Clear everything. More on the upper floor. Enemy on G.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I liked about this game was that it led to Black Ops, and I love what they do in Black Ops. Recently replayed that. See, the Germans just wouldn't have used this many MP40s in reality. The Germans were asking for it. Like every time, you know, I hear the Germans crying sympathy at like how much the Russians raped German women and everything like that at the end of the war, which they did. Like, holy shit. The Germans were asking for it. You should see what the SS in particular were doing to the Russians early on in the war. Oh my god. In history books, it irks me because history books don't like to talk about that. Though admittedly by this time in the war. If you want to actually look at something really interesting, look up some of the last-ditch weapons that the Germans were making around this time period. Really interesting and kind of sad. And read about the werewolf divisions, if you want to see something that was also just as sad. Basically, if you want to kill yourself.
This way! Into the building!
I would like to get into the building. Very much so would like to get into the building. I'd rather use Pepe Shaw. No. There we go. Here we go, STG-44. STG-44s, if they had if the Germans had them earlier on, and if Hitler didn't hate them. Also, he gave them to the SS, which I think was dumb. He should have given them to the Wehrmacht. The first people to use STG-44s were the SS. And the SS and the Wehrmacht did not get along very well. Nah. MG-42 were the best machine guns in World War II. Fight me on that. You guys are gonna laugh, but actually I think the most accurate World War II movie I've seen for a while was Jojo Rabbit. Ah! Stalin's organs! Damn it. I thought I had time to do it. Biggest problem I could see with specifically the STG-44 was that if they jammed or broke down in any way, they were actually very hard to fix because, again, they were overproduced. You know, I'll give the Russians this. The Russians were fantastic at making stuff for mass consumption, for mass production, I should say. Molson Nagan's a very simple rifle. Pepe shots, very simple. Pepe Shaw 43s, which were invented in Leningrad during the siege of Leningrad. Were nothing but stamped parts of metals, and they were built in an instrument factory. During the siege, they didn't have the wood to build the stuff that they did for the Pepe Shaw 41, which is what the weapon I'm using right now. And so, yeah, it's a fucking stainless steel monstrosity. That was the best best description of the Pepe Shaw 43 I've ever heard. And you look at that thing, you're like, how the fuck does that thing work? But it did. And actually, the only reason why, because the Soviets loved the gun, because any steel factory could easily be converted to make it. Unlike the Pepe Shaw 43, the only reason why they kept making Pepe Shaw 41, the only reason why they kept making the Pepe Shaw 41 after the invention of the Pepe Shaw 43 was because it would have cost them more money to convert the factories to make the Pepe Shaw 43. So you'll see that the Pepe Shaw 43 was used a lot by Soviet puppet states. You'll see the Soviets give them a lot of them, sort of like how we gave the we gave a lot of M1 Grands to like Korea and the South Vietnamese and stuff. Damn it. Youch. I like Die Theory. That's good music. Down, down, down. There we go. I've shot Mosin Nagants before. I fucking love those guns. In fact, I would argue they were one of the best bolt-action guns of the war. And, like, it's hard to believe that, like, the Russians had been using a variant of the Mosin Nagant since 1898. They were using Mosin Nagants during the Russo-Japanese Wars. Oh, I died. I wasn't paying attention. Ah! Dude, I'm a history buff. I'm a gargantuan history buff. To the point that I used to annoy teachers. I actually learned a lot about like the Battle of Stalingrad and the Battle of Berlin reading Antony Beevor's books on the subject. He wrote one specifically on the Battle of Berlin and one on the Battle of Stalingrad, and they are phenomenally written. Especially the one on Berlin, which I didn't think I could possibly learn any more about the Battle of Berlin than what was already available, because I mean the Battle of Berlin is one of the most well-documented battles of all time. Hey D-Man, we're talking history. Paka! MG42s, let me tell you. You know, I haven't really heard a game yet capture just how crazy MG42s were when they fired. I mean, according to a lot of soldiers that would both on the German and the Allied side, when you fired an MG42, you actually couldn't hear the individual bullets. The closest thing they said that it sounded like was one of the modern-day Gatling guns. So just like a BWOP! And like, oh man, that's just insane. In my opinion, my humble opinion, the MG42 was the best machine gun, heavy machine gun during the war. Why? Were they classified as heavy machine guns? I don't think they were. I don't think they were light machine guns. Hey, I'm glad you're enjoying D-Man. Admittedly, I haven't watched you for a while because I've been really busy doing my own shit. I hope all is going well for you. Especially during COVID-19. It's been crazy here. I live in New York now, so it's been insane here. Ah! You know, I miss seeing swastikas in game. That sounds so bad out of context, but I miss seeing, you know, Nazi memorabilia in my games about World War II.
Reeks of nightmares and madness, but only the insane would stand against them.
Now what you see are crosses.
Keep killing.
The Prussian crosses, and that's not really accurate.
Dimitri, grab a shot. We will be killing at God's quarters.
What was that? That's a real shotgun. I don't care about that.
You hear something? No.
See, at this time, there weren't many experienced soldiers left in World War II. It was mainly, for the Germans, it was mainly children and old men. And it's really sad. And I mean children, like anywhere from 12 to 16 years old was the bulk of the German army. Ah! Oh man, that was intense. Yeah, D-Man, we were in the middle of making a new web series. Well, season 2 of our web series. Another short film and 2 music videos. And all of a sudden COVID-19 happened, and that brought us to a screeching halt. And as you can see, now I'm playing video games because I have nothing left to do with my life. Oh, I hit the guy. World War III will start in the Middle East. That's the only thing that I can really tell about it. World War III will start in the Middle East. However, I agree with Einstein's stance on World War III, and that is I don't know how World War III will be fought, but I know how World War IV will be fought, and that's with sticks and stones. So, yeah, a lot of stuff got canceled because of COVID-19. I do a lot. I work in the live streaming industry, which is partially why I started live streaming again. And I can say that industry is booming, but the actual like film industry and everything is not. It's terrible, and I feel really bad. You know, you're just a dude who wrote a script. Oh, there's a lot of those. There are so many scripts that we have written here that they just won't go anywhere. At least not yet. And let's be honest, 90% of what you write isn't going to be made. Actually, probably more like 95% of what you write won't be made. Pow. Pow, 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 pow. I couldn't imagine being a German at this time. Literally could not imagine. I can easily picture myself being a Russian during this time period, but not a German. I just could not. That was good. I like that. I mean, just how scared I would be. All the time. All the time. If not by the Russians, then by my own people. You know, the Nazis. Oh my god! I didn't realize they were Germans! Now, you see, I would love it if a game did that. Because, like, look at... You see, right now who we're shooting are adult males. You know, typical soldiers. When in reality, that would not be the case. These would have been children and old men. And a part of me, I don't think we could now with today's PC culture make a game that actually showed us shooting, you know, 13-year-old children and old men, like what was actually happening. Like, words do not describe how much like worse the real war was. Blew up in your face. It truly was definitely the saddest war ever, I think, was this war. It's just the amount of men lost. Seriously, if you haven't read it, read Anthony Beevor's Berlin, 1945. Amazing book. Just one of the most horrifying, depressing, atmospheric nonfiction books you can possibly read. He's an amazing author. A good lecturer too. He's arrogant. He's really arrogant, but in my opinion, he's one of those people that have kind of earned it. He just knows so much about this war. Or well, the European side of it anyway. Fuck. Oh well. I don't know if D-Man's still watching, but you're a freshman in college now, right? Or are you a sophomore? Or differently? What year are you in college, in other words? If you're not here, oh well, I'm just talking to thin air, and that's fine too. All I can say is I'm fucking glad as hell to be out. Life is surprisingly good over here despite a fucking pandemic. And we are living through the apocalypse, so... Oh, that's a good World War II series. Apocalypse. That was really good. I actually prefer Apocalypse Stalin more than Apocalypse World War II, but that was a good one. Sophomore, yeah. Sophomore year was when we made our first big feature, Which Way They Walk, which is a piece of shit. I don't recommend watching it. But I still use that crew today, actually. We learned each other, met each other, and stuff working on that. If there's anything I can say about film schools, first off, film school is a waste of money. But if you're going to do it and go through with it, network with friends like there's no tomorrow. Sorry, there was a thing that was annoying me. My old roommate Mark Shoppy was a semester ahead of me in terms of credits too.
Dimitri, are you ready?
Or I'm ready. Is this the one where we raise the...
You do not deserve mercy. What mercy? You should have to die. Wait. He may help us. He can die for us. This is not war. This is murder. This is how you end a war, Cherno.
Yeah. Yeah, this has nothing on what actually happened when the Germans were putting up the flag in Berlin during the putting it on the Reichstag. Holy shit! Well, was it the Reichstag building? I can't remember. I can't remember if the building was called something else by this time or not.
Es sei denn, ist genauso arrogant wie der Führer. Sie werden die...
Oh, the only reason why I got away with making a feature film was because we were doing it completely outside, on our own. And then I honestly think because of me, the rules changed at the school that we couldn't make personal projects anymore. So I'm to blame for that. And I don't care. I got to make what I needed to make. And I will gladly say this too. You learn far more doing than sitting and being lectured to by some weird creepy professor. I can't say that enough either. That was actually my biggest problem in school, and why I say school was never really for me, was because I always just wanted to do. because I always knew I would learn more by doing. There, in the film Liberation, there's a great scene where the Russians are clearing out a building very similar to this, and I gotta tell you, it's all one shot too. It's just amazing. The amount of choreography that was done in that, in the 1970 as well. That was when the movie was made. It's insanely good. I mean, they have a flamethrower in that sequence, and you see people burning and everything like that. I'm like, holy shit, how could they do that? The amount of timing and preparation on that, I just couldn't even imagine. Shit. What a useless pistol! Teddy Roosevelt Jr. Landed on D-Day, didn't he? I think he was on Utah Beach, won a Medal of Honor. He almost couldn't walk, apparently, Teddy Roosevelt Jr. If he's the guy that I think he is. Played by Henry Fonda in The Longest Day. He was very sick. I think he had bad arthritis. He had to walk with a cane. And in fact, they were trying to keep him from landing at Utah, I believe, but he faked it. I don't think he lived long after that, actually.
Smoke can steal your breath. You can barely see, hardly breathe. Complaining about them. Just keep low. In Stalingrad, Dmitri and I go through many smoke-filled buildings. Do you hear him complaining?
You know, I'm not a big fan of Franklin Roosevelt as a president, but I'll definitely give the Roosevelt family this. They definitely were American. I know that sounds really weird. I mean, of course they're American, but like Teddy Franklin, Teddy Jr. They all love their country. I'll give them that. I am a rather big fan of Teddy, though. Teddy Sr. I mean, he fucking got shot. Teddy Roosevelt got shot at a speech and kept going. If that's not badass, I don't know what is. I love hearing that music in the background. I mean, it's just, to me, it's crazy to believe that while this was happening, you know, underground, there was Hitler and frickin' Goebbels. You know, everyone, I mean, the Russians were getting, the Germans were getting piss drunk because they knew they were going to lose. And so it was just, the amount of chaos during the Battle of Berlin astonishes me. See, I don't really like this music. I wish the music was more symphonic. I'm probably just old-fashioned. In fact, I know I'm old-fashioned. But, that's,
Make sure they are all dead. Kill them all! Wipe
talk to you later, D-Man. Glad you joined for a little bit. Oh my god.
Chernov! What is going on? These men are trying to surrender! Look around you, Chernov. You think these men will be denied their revenge? That comes only two ways. Fast or slow.
This happened.
It is your choice. Chernov, you should learn from Dmitri. He understands the nature of mercy.
Quickly! Into the metro! This way!
Germans flooded the tunnels too, which drowned a lot of Russian soldiers and also drowned a lot of civilians too. So, fucking A. Battle of Berlin is just fascinating. I think actually, in the terms of the European theater, that and Kursk are like the two battles that just really I find fascinating. Kursk because the absolute futility of the whole thing, and then the Battle of Berlin because of the chaos. MP40 was a pretty good gun, though. Honestly, I'm surprised they didn't actually put the flooding of the tunnel in this game. Oh, is this a flooding? I can't remember if that was in this or not. But yeah, they flooded all the sewers. Yep, there it is. Yeah. Okay, so they did do the flooding in this game. Alright. Shows you how long I haven't played this game for so long.
The Battle of Pelennor finally came to an end in November 1944. 3 bitter months after it was supposed to.
I had a relative
Shipped out for Okinawa.
who fought in Bataan in the early 40s and got captured, and he was put on the Bataan Death March, and I wish I met him. Well, part of me actually wishes I didn't meet him. I'm glad I didn't meet him, because apparently when he came back, he was a very angry man. Clearly had PTSD. But they didn't do anything about it. Well, they didn't really know anything about it either, so I'm not angry or anything.
Open up comms! Major Gordon, vessels are now in visual range. Unmarked Japanese merchant fleet. Designation unknown.
They're probably resupplying the enemy on Okinawa.
Legitimate targets?
Affirmative, they're part of the enemy war machine. Permission to engage, over and out.
Oh, this should be fun.
Laughlin, lock. Get to your station. Stop.
Japanese Zeros were fantastic planes early on in the war, very similar to like the Stukas, and well, the German Messerschmitts and everything. Very good.
Fire! Whoa! See that shit blow?
The problem with the problem with the the problem with the Zeros was that they didn't have the leather lining, the self-sealing fuel caps, and so if you hit anything near the fuel tank, bam, the plane was just down. That was the problem with the Zero. Good plane, though. I mean, early on in the war, there was nothing like it, and especially in terms of speed. Especially in the Americans. The Americans had garbage. In fact, I would argue that the Americans had garbage for planes right up until 1943. I don't know if you know this, but the plane with the the plane with the two tails on it, was a really weird looking plane.
Tell me we've not lost our gunner. He's okay. What the
But
fuck are merchant ships doing with that much firepower? That must be some pretty important cargo left carrying. We need to get below the flag. I can't line up a decent shot. I hear ya. We got MG fire all around. Take out those fucking PT bombs. They're our biggest threat right now. This is too risky. Should we abort? Negative. We can
I like how
do it.
hard it is to aim on this.
Smoke coming from
That's pretty realistic.
Good job, Rock. Taking her down low. Lock, Laughlin, keep on them. Shoot out those damn spotlights. BT bomb going down. T-bombs, 9 o'clock. Get on the left turn. BT bomb disabled.
Though I won't lie, you know, I said the MG42 probably one of the best machine guns during World War II, if not the best. I forgot about the Browning 50 caliber. The Browning 50 cal, let me tell you, the fact that we still use it to today, I think, is a pretty good indicator of how good of a fucking gun it is. What better
But they're still afloat.
what better weapon than to just fly a plane away? I agree. I think the kamikazes were a complete waste of manpower. Not just manpower, but pilots, equipment, everything. But they were devastating. And I'm not gonna lie, they terrified the shit out of us. The Japanese mentality is something. The Japanese mentality of they had during World War II is something I think is just incomprehensible to Americans. Actually, really, to almost anyone, except maybe the Russians. Incomprehensible. The Japanese did that a lot too. Like the amount of suicides that the Japanese did. I'm like, just imagine instead of suicide charging, banzai charging, if they just shot one more American. You know, the amount of how much more damage they would have done if they'd done that. But because of that massive indoctrination and that massive devotion to the emperor and the idea, Jesus Christ.
Air support's too far out. At least one infantry transport ship has already gone down. Okay, lock, seal the ventral hatch. We'll be putting down on the ocean. Let's go get our men.
And I will also say this too about the Japanese. Their homeland. Oh shit. God damn, this sucks. This is pretty cool, though. I like how hard it is to hit things on this. I wasn't expecting that.
Okay, people. The fleet still needs our help. Anyone want to back out? Didn't think so. Going into a hot zone. I want everyone sharp and ready for anything. Bastards wiped out most of our ships.
Holy shit! You think anyone's gonna be alive down there?
Well, I see multiple casualties in the water.
Shit!
I'm going to be ending the stream after this level.
Better not be the only ones responding to the distress call. We've got room for all of them. Do what we can. Taking us down.
Oh, God damn it.
Kamikazes! 2 o'clock! Hi!
Sink those damn PT boats before they rip our men to shreds.
Press F to pay respect. Press F to pay respect. Damn it. Oh, every day though. That was them literally every day. Fearing for their lives that, you know, any second the Japanese will fucking ram the ship. Damn it. Hmm.
We'll do what we can. Taking us out. Stop firing the engine. Don't stop now. Kamikaze! 2 o'clock. High.
Like, the amount of flak that would be put in the air, too, during these. And, like, they hardly hit anything. Flak hardly fucking hit a thing. Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I do like how you can't really see much of anything. Ah! You know, eventually I'm gonna put so many of these fucking people in the boat. Into the plane, it's gonna get heavy and won't be able to go anywhere. We'll sink. Okay, this is kind of awesome. Jeff Scherer actually wrote an amazing book about the Battle of Okinawa. Very good book. I highly recommend it. Of course! Just in time for the Hellcats. I think those are Hellcats. Pretty sure the Hellcats were the ones with the Stuka-shaped wings, the bent wings, anyways.
Latches up as best you can. Okay, taking her up. How'd we do?
Pull 5 men on board. Good job, Locke.
Okay, taking us home. Hell, fucking loose.
Status report? The last few months on Okinawa have taken their toll. Morale is low. It's the rain, sir. And the mud. Tanks are getting bogged down. Supplies aren't getting through. We can't even get the wounded out. Yes, sir. Understood.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it a night here. ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to, let's see, save and quit. Save and quit. All right, thank you so much for tuning in, but I'm going to call it a night because I still got to work in the morning. Got to get ready for a big show, not only tomorrow on A&P, but we've also got one big, for the company I work for, got a big show coming up on Tuesday that's really big, so got to get a good night's sleep. Anyways, so thank you all for watching. Glad I was able to talk history a little bit, and not just films. Glad you guys tuned in. Thank you so much. And this is Adam Noyce saying sayonara.